Welcome back, everybody. This is phase 3 of the dual GI-275 install, and they've got all the wiring connected to all the right places, and so I want to show you what's been going on. First of all, let's go up front, the engine compartment, where they had to pull out some slack from the G4 leads. And for example, these here were the service loops for the G4 that were in the engine compartment, and they got loosened up. Some were drawn into the engine compartment and then re-looped, and they did a very nice job in doing that. And let's look at the other side, where we have continued service loops, these here, and a nice run standoff to the engine compartment right there. And these are the CHT leads, service loops, and they got them all nicely bundled up and standoff and wrapped. So they did a nice job there. The GI-275 also has an outside air temperature option, so that I can read true airspeed and do some other calculations. So the best place to put it was right here. Originally thought we'd be able to put it in here, but that was not going to provide a good connection to just inside the cockpit. So lowered it a little bit, and that works out fine. This here is the Insight G4 outside air temperature probe or sensor, and so they're fairly close to each other. This one may be a little bit, this one for the GI-275 may be a little closer to the engine, but this part back here doesn't get hot, and besides, it's a sensor to stand off from the fuselage. Magnetometer is in, and it's in the wing. This is where the original magnetometer was for the it's back there. Let me turn this around. I'm sorry if you guys are getting a little dizzy. So that's the magnetometer for the GI-275, and the original one for the King HSI was also in this compartment. They had to look around and see where it was, so they opened up several panels, finally found it here, and the wires are run already into the inside of a cockpit. The other connection that was made not in the cockpit is for the GDL-69A for XM weather, and the GDL-69A is sitting back here in this aft compartment. This is it. This unit is a GDL-69 antenna, and they just had to run an Ethernet cable from the GDL-69 up front to hook up with the GI-275, and this thicker cable is the Ethernet cable that they had to run. It's nicely insulated, and it runs up the side panel inside the airplane, and we'll go look at that in a second. Well, we're inside the cockpit, and the spaghetti has become rigatoni, a little bit thicker. So they've got them all hooked up to wherever they're supposed to go. I'm glad that they know what's what. There's a nice light in here that they have to work with. I'm going to turn it on, make things easier to see. And this light's pretty bright, so there's 3 settings for it. We got super bright, and we'll leave it there. Maybe it helps us look at things better. As I was saying, the Ethernet cable that was coming from the back that they ran is this one right here. You can see my fingers touching, and coming up this way, and going up further that way, and coming up and I think it sort of gets lost here in the shuffle, but it looks like it's coming up this way running right up there. There's a high-speed data bus that connects everything. The way that the connection is going to be done with the GDL69, because there's only so many connectors in the back of the GI-275, is to run it through the GTX 345, which is the ADS-B in and out transponder, and it will run then the information, the data, to the GI-275s via high-speed data bus. And that's the way they got it set up, and it'll run just fine. The GI-275s will both go here in the middle. As I said before, everything else in the 6-pack will be removed. The inside G4 engine monitor was previously down in the left lower corner, difficult to see, and had to look over the yoke on the left side, totally away from everything else, and the power and the engine controls and RPM and everything else. So I moved it up to the top right, much better scan wise too. And this is the harness to the G4, and you can see that it comes all the way, is able to reach now this location without any problem. This being the harness, this being the location. Anyway, things are much tidier than last time I took the video. One other thing they did was to work on the circuit breaker panel, and it was a bear to get into. These this panel was riveted onto the side, so they took out the rivets and made access much easier. They were able to take it down and get access to the circuit breaker panel. And we got 3 new circuit breakers. They removed 3, they put 3 in, so they'll be labeled and accordingly. Anyway, I'm not sure which ones they're going to be. We'll figure it out. We'll see which ones they change. Here we go. I think they're going to replace them there. They got them labeled already. So, looks great, and I'm looking forward for the next step when they've got the testing done, as well as some basically a panel in test mode, and all connections made, things straightened out, and it should all work just perfectly then. Early next week, they're going to do power-up tests without putting in the panel or the units in the panel to make sure everybody talks to each other. I guess they'll be bringing in the other units, the 530, the GTX 345 in, and plugging them into the respective connectors. So it's moving forward. This is not, you know, anybody who tells you this is just a piece of cake, take out and put it back in, is not telling you the truth. It does take several hours and at least 50 hours of work to get both in and get it set up correctly. The panels are back in place, the side panel that they had to remove to run the GDL69 Ethernet cable up to the panel. So I'm very happy with what's going on, and next video will be with the units in place and testing them, and then after that we'll be doing a flight test. See you next time.